Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. The government has announced an adjustment in protocols for restaurants and food establishments. Effective immediately, restaurants and other food establishments may provide dine-in service during the hours of 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. each day. The announcement was made on the Prime Minister's Instagram page. Members of the public are urged to continue adhering to the existing COVID-19 protocols, including observing the 7 p.m. curfew and the wearing of a mask in public. While minibus drivers have called for them to be among frontline workers who are scheduled to receive COVID-19 vaccines, vendors are not enticed by the idea. The president of the Craft and Dry Goods Vendors Association says more sensitization needs to take place before vendors will opt to take the vaccine, even if they interact with the public on a daily basis. Nisha Charles reports.
While the Ministry of Health has begun its rollout of COVID-19 vaccines in country, there is much work to be done when it comes to sensitization of the masses. So says President of the St. Lucia Craft and Dry Goods Vendors Association, Peter Ras Iper Isaac, when he was asked if members of his association were willing to take the vaccines. While vendors classify themselves as frontline workers, they are not convinced that the vaccines are safe.
Some of them are very averse to the vaccine, and maybe as a reason, I would say, is lack of education on the virus and its makeup. And I think that is the place where I think we must start with vendors in terms of educating them as to the virus and the effectiveness of it. And why would they need to take virus, especially they being the frontline worker or some frontline workers as well, because they are interfacing with the public, with people coming from wherever. They are the ones who interface with people directly and so on.
In the meantime, Isaac encourages his members to take responsibility for their own health and protect themselves against contracting the virus.
This vaccine seems to be very effective in a way, because the bigger countries are trying their best to procure or secure, the majority of it, and that we in the smaller countries like the Caribbean islands are left to fend in a kind of way for ourselves. So my advice to the frontline workers, no matter whether you're policemen, firefighters, vendors, and so on, you need to protect yourself. And for us to really have what you call herd immunity, people need to be vaccinated. So that is one of the things we need to really make sure, especially frontline workers. And you heard just recently the minibus drivers asking for them to be considered frontline workers. So are the vendors.
According to the Ministry of Health, the first phase of the COVID-19 vaccines will be administered to the highest risk healthcare and frontline workers, people 65 years and older, and people living with chronic conditions. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
The suspension on liquor licenses was lifted on Thursday. Videos have gone viral of many individuals expressing their excitement about the reopening of bars because they say they were not coping well without alcohol. One local psychiatrist says alcoholism in St. Lucia is a deeper issue than many think. He says many are in denial about their alcohol dependency and their addiction.
Videos have gone viral with individuals expressing elation with the lift of the suspension of the liquor ban on Wednesday. Others have expressed how they felt miserable and felt they would not be able to survive the month-long ban. Local psychiatrist Dr. Julius Gilliard says many people use alcohol as a means of escape from problems when in fact they are simply compounding whatever issues they may be dealing with.
It's not dealing with stress. What they're doing is distracting themselves from the situations that never change. So this person may be having difficulties with a relationship or with work and go out drink, come home drunk. Their behavior might not be optimal, so they might get in a fight with the partner, or they might get in fights with the children, or might get in fights with somebody else. And that can be traumatizing for the entire family. I mean, I've seen so many people in my practice who would tell me that their father was alcoholic or their mother was alcoholic, and their lives have changed because of that. So when persons go out and drink, they don't think of those things. So they just think about short-term pleasure. But short-term actions do have long-term consequences, both for the person and their family members.
Dr. Gilliard explained that while he understands what the government tried to do with the suspension of alcohol with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic, the situation did not help alcoholics.
Decreasing short-term positive is that it would probably help control the assembly of persons, but long-term there is little or no effect on the use of alcohol, because as soon as the ban is lifted, you usually see persons lining up at bars, at supermarkets, wherever to restock, you could call it, the alcohol, and going back to square one basically.
Dr. Gilliard says, in addition to there being a need for better mental health facilities on island, there is a need for statistics to be compiled about the dependency on drugs, including alcohol, being used in St. Lucia. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
The death of a Trinidadian man in St. Lucia has prompted Trinidad soca artist Benjai to speak out and demand swift justice in the killing of his friend. A post to social media site Facebook has led to a war of words between St. Lucians and the soca artist. Benjai, whose real name is Rodney LeBlanc, questioned the safety of the island and accused citizens of preying on visitors. Damian Harris, who was shot at Grass Street on Wednesday night, was reportedly attending a birthday celebration in the area. His body was found in a parked vehicle with multiple gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead on the scene. A police investigation is currently underway. A culture of death. That's how one local priest has classified St. Lucia with regard to how St. Lucians regard life. The comments come as the country recorded its 7th homicide so far for the year, a Trinidadian national.
While the government of St. Lucia has been able to reduce overall crime in the country over the past year, serious crimes like homicides have gone unabated. So far for 2021, 7 homicides have been recorded. The latest was on Wednesday. The parish priest for Babonneau has chimed in on the conversation surrounding what has led society to behave in such a callous way. He says lawlessness and lack of respect for life are at the center of such crimes.
This culture of death that really ravaging the whole world, but really in St. Lucia is becoming so alarming. This we have to, as a people, ask ourselves, how did our fathers, our grandparents, like Messa St. John Baptist, how did they manage in those days? They had respect for their elders, they had respect for their culture, they have the respect for their community, they have respect for each other. But this time around, I think really we are losing it. Our young persons, they only think about today. They don't think about tomorrow. And they don't care. And it's quite alarming, as I said.
The parish priest says that the first way to redemption for our society is to nurture the family unit.
Parents have to be up to date. They have to intervene and help their children. The family value is collapsing. Parents, maybe because of the harsh economic situation, everyone is out there making money. Nobody wants to make out time and really mentor and tutor our young persons so that as they grow, they can really get to know what life is all about. It's not all about my own personal pleasure. Where your freedom ends, that's where my own begins. You have the right to life, I have the right to life, so you should respect my life. So, I don't know, our police, they are doing so well, the government is doing well, but I think really our laws have to be really strengthened. The law of really guiding all this has to be strengthened. Young person should know that there's a consequence to every crime, especially the heinous ones.
The parish priest says there must be serious consequences for those who choose to take another's life. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Thank you, Nisha. The SLP's endorsed candidate for Micoud North, Jeremiah Norbert, has said that despite his current injuries, he has no intention of reneging on his promise to the people of Micoud North and will contest the seat. Opposition Senator and colleague Gibeon Ferdinand has expressed total confidence in Norbert and says he is definitely the man for the job when it comes to representing Micoud North effectively.
Opposition Senator and SLP candidate for Micoud South, Gibeon Ferdinand, has given a ringing endorsement to colleague Jeremiah Norbert. There was initially some doubt about Norbert's political future after he was injured in a motorcycle accident on February 17th and subsequently flown to Martinique for care. Norbert has come out to lay public concerns to rest by indicating that he will indeed press on and contest the next general election. Senator Ferdinand says Norbert is without a doubt the right man for the job of representing constituents of Micoud North.
I'm very happy that he has been recovering well. There's a long way to go, but he's a very strong and determined young man, and Jeremiah inspires all of us. I think that situation has, in my opinion, assisted in getting people to know the character of the man, and I think that will augur well for his campaign. If I had my way, he'd be on a wheelchair, he'd be on one leg, he would be the candidate for Micoud North, and I think he can only get better from there.
Ferdinand says there have been no discussions by the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party about replacing Norbert.
The political leader will clarify that, but from where I stand, absolutely, I believe that I would root for him to be the candidate, to remain the candidate, leg injury or not. I think that he has really inspired the public. He's the most popular candidate we have, and nothing's going to stop it.
Norbert is a 30-year-old native from the community of Lapointe-Monrepo. He recently resigned from the Royal St. Lucia Police Force after 10 years of unwavering service to join the political arena. Norbert is a candidate for the Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science at the University of the West Indies Open Campus. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.